Hope by Nadia Ali Rastgar. Appa, why aren't we going to school today? I was a little surprised by the question. It had become a usual routine to get off from college and school due to Karachi's unstable conditions. Because it's closed, I replied simply. Why is it closed so often? She inquired. Is something wrong? How can one explain this to a little girl? I thought about the whole of Liari's grief, the internal civil war. Karachi was definitely in its prime these days. No doubt it was a flourishing city, but it recently felt as if it was shadowed by a dark cloud. Dark cloud that is it. I could tell her a story. How about I tell you a story? I asked. It's similar to the reason why our city is unsafe nowadays. The story is about me and a few friends getting on with our ordinary lives in a small place, like on a fertile rocky island, and one day on our way home when we got lost. Lost like the people in Karachi are, confused and in conflict with each other. Anyway, one dark night we were all trying to find our way home. We were out just on a regular hike, an everyday routine, but somewhere we lost our way. Somewhere far off we heard gunshots, and we increased our pace, terrified. I was leading at a fast pace, still slightly heated at Hamid's comments. We all wanted to get home alive. I stopped dead in my tracks. Oh God, there was a clearing with two men holding firearms. They were shooting randomly in the air. We ducked back into the thicket. Asma and Sana leading and changed our course, running as fast as we could to get away from the shots. Third. Ah! Sana let out a huge scream. What in the world? I exclaimed, coming up front where all had stopped short. A bird had fallen smack on the ground right in front of us. It looked up with its helpless eyes, shivering slightly. It had been shot. I looked at it and blinked, turning away as my eyes filled with tears. It was unbearable. Death for the little creature seemed unfair. There was a long moment of silence, broken finally by Amir. Let's move on. We don't have time to waste. It's getting more dangerous each second. No, not yet. Asma bent down near the little bird and started digging. Seriously? There was an outburst from Amir. We have already lost daylight. Our food supply is low. The torch's batteries are almost finished. And you want to stop everyone to bury this bird? We don't have time for this. He angrily picked up his bag and moved ahead. The rest started trudging slowly after him. I bent down and helped Asma, and within minutes, after a hurried burial and a quick prayer, we ran and caught up with the others. They were waiting at a distance, moving on slowly so we could catch up. All were a little disturbed, sorry for the loss, but wanting to ignore it and preferring to move on. I couldn't blame them. There's so much pain here. How much could one possibly take? Sometimes you just have to let things go and delude yourself with normality to carry on. I couldn't help but think of the family the bird would never return to. How that family had been ruined. But the hunters didn't care. What? Asma asked in disbelief. Rain. It can't rain. I tugged at her hand and she stumbled forward. We started walking faster, changing our direction towards the shadowy mass, which we hoped was a series of hills. We tried to stay under the trees for temporary shelter. There was a dog or a wolf howling in a distance. Slowly, almost as if mourning for the bird and pitying our state, we broke into a run. The raindrops were heavier and faster than ever, and a slight rumbling of thunder could be heard. We could still make it, running as fast as we could, shoving all aside to make out way. We tried not to stumble on the wet roots and pebbles. It felt as if we had run a marathon by the time we finally reached the rocky area. There must be a cave. There has to be one. At least an overhead rock, Amir shouted. We were all bent on our knees catching our breath. The wind was howling deafening. The rain and storm were at its brink. There, yelled Hamid. I switched my gaze in the sound's direction and listened hard. There's something there. We all started to make out what Hamid was trying to show. Suddenly, amidst the thunder, the lightning struck again, revealing a small opening about 8 feet up in the rocks. The boys made a hand step, and I signaled to go first and check the edge. I climbed up on their hands and grabbed the torch Sana held out for me. An unbelievable sight beheld me. It was like a huge cave. The top was smooth and whole, but the ground had cracks and was a little rocky. Nonetheless, it looked safe. I climbed in and gave a safe signal, and one by one the others joined me. Our lucky break. This is not bad, Amir shouted. Let's rest while we can. It was early in the morning when I awoke, and I could hear the birds chirping softly in the distance. As the first rays hit the rocky cliffs, the light shone in brightly, illuminating the caves, cracks, and crevices. I lay in silence and watched the sky become brighter. In that moment of peacefulness, I gave a short sigh and smiled. There was always hope. We just need to find and utilize it. I got up and looked around, calling the others get up in the cheeriest voice. They rose their sleepy heads and looked up. Life won't wait forever. Move it, it's now or never. I announced as I jumped from the cozy shelter into the wet mud, and soon me and my friends trampled on. The end, I said with a smile. She looked up at me and then said, that was a really good story, Appa. Thank you, I get it now. I have one question though. Does the ending mean we can go to school tomorrow? Better days are going to come, I thought. A storm was indeed passing now, but it will, like all others, give way to a new sunny day and a fresh start.